Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Warbow League Recap Show. The date is Saturday, May 22nd, and I'm John.
James?
And it's been about a month, James, since we've done the last recap show, isn't that right?
That's right. But before we get to anything, let's roll that intro.
So, like I said earlier, it's been about a month since our last recap show. We've been doing a lot of things on the back end, but we'll get to that later. For right now, let's take a look at our standings.
So, we've had quite a bit of time, and in this space, we haven't had too many updates within the teams themselves. In fact, we've had more new players more than anything else. So, standings are pretty much the same with maybe a game or two different. Swordbreaker is still the top of the heap. So that's the standings there. And what we've seen recently is due to the pandemic now lifting, we've actually had a lot more people come in and we're eager to see new teams form.
That's correct, James. That's correct. And last week we had something special. We were at En Garde Fencing for a special live stream with our very first youth event. James, you were talking with Jim, the owner of En Garde, earlier, right?
That's right. He had a lot to say about youth and about the differences between handling adults and children and their mentality, and I think it was very interesting.
It was really exciting also because we got to see things that we never see the adults do.
That's right.
Let's go ahead and take a look at that interview now.
Okay, I'm here with Jim Liebich from En Garde Fencing, and right now he's conducting one of our youth programs out in Santa Rosa. First off, I'd like to ask you, how are the youth athletes approaching Warbow, and how are they adapting to it?
Well, they're the most enthusiastic about it. I found. I think that they're only going to improve over time with this, and they've been steadily improving it since we started. They're the most, like I said, they're the most enthusiastic and willing to try out new things. We do different format games. They're always interested in doing it in a new way. So yeah, and they're really interested in developing their skills too.
Yes, that's very true of a lot of youth I see. They're definitely more about the experience rather than having a directed goal.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything in particular that you find that you have to do differently when you're approaching teaching skills to youth as opposed to adults or young adults?
Well, yes. For kids, I have to on occasion rein them in a little more tightly, because they do things that that adults just wouldn't think of doing. They have a little less patience in a way. You don't want to talk as much to the kids. You want to have them doing something. You want to keep them occupied and moving and thinking about the next, not trying to think about the next thing, but just in the moment doing something the whole way through. The longer you lecture someone, the quicker you lose them. So it's not like you can just lecture for 10 minutes with an adult, but you can spend a little bit more time with the adults in explaining things, with physical and physically and verbally. With kids, it's a lot more about demonstrating and making sure that that they're active the whole time.
Let's go ahead and jump into. I'm going to start showing some of the footage from. We had an event not too long ago where we had 3 youth teams try to do a round robin, and I thought it was very interesting. And one of the things I thought was interesting is that I was expecting there to be a lot of chaos, but children seem to have slowed down the pace and been more methodical. What do you think attributes to that? And I mean, what are the observations you have about the child approaching this problem as opposed to an adult?
Mm-hmm. Well, for my observations, the kids are they take it very seriously. You know, for an adult, they're just thinking this is a fun activity. Let's just see what happens. For the kids, they're pretty emotionally invested in what's going on usually, and they are so they will. What I try and emphasize in my teaching is the development of skills. And also by skills, I don't just mean using a bow. But what I mean is, and I'm not just moving around in the field, communicating with each other, all these important aspects of it, but also life skills in terms of good sportsmanship and in terms of building and learning, building a better person, learning how to move in a social space as well as as this game space. Right. That's what this is. This game is practice for the real world. And they're if you talk to them about that so that they have an understanding of it, and you don't just try and trick them into it, so they get it by osmosis or whatever. If you explicitly spell things out, then they have a clearer understanding of what's expected, and they behave accordingly.
So the next question I want to ask is, and we'll go ahead and put up that last round because I thought that you could definitely see that there were some very good standout athletes among the youth that were really taking the lead.
Yeah.
So, and here they're going to start the match, and they're in progress here. But are there a couple of standouts that you think are a role model for the rest of their peers, and what makes them a standout in their categories?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are a few. So they all have their own way of approaching and doing this. There's one of the kids there. You can see him in the middle there. His name's Jacob. He's one of the older ones. He's 13, and he is he's really good coach material. He wants to learn how to train people, and he's starting to take on responsibilities, and his personality is a very very nurturing one too. So he's good about making sure that everyone feels welcome, and at the same time, I mean, that just helps him to excel in a lot of ways. He's very enthusiastic. He goes to every class he possibly can. He's just into everything. So he's very open like that. There's another student in there. You don't see her right now, but she is she's very quiet, but she's just like deadly accurate in the games. She just she's like what I would consider her. Any team she's on, she's going to be like the anchor. She's very calm. She's very she waits for the right moment. She chooses her shots, and then she hits, and she's like starts racking up points, point after point after point, and before you know it, she's pushed her team into a victory position because of her just. And then she gets hit. She goes, "All right, you got me," and she goes over. She's very calm the whole time, which can be hard for a lot of people. I think it's a great influence, but she doesn't, it's not like she's communicating a lot. She's just very quiet and steadily just plugging away and scoring points for her team, which really works for her. And then we have some other kids. There's a couple of them that they're great friends. They've known each other for a long time, so they work really well together. So they're really good at the teamwork. They communicate really well. They're not like super accurate, but they're very energetic, very athletic. And so So those are the kids. When I was talking to you guys at the beginning of the live stream for the youth game, those are the kids that I was pointing them out, because I knew that they would really help their teams a lot. In fact, I think you saw one of those kids in there. He actually got the one arrow catch of the game. It was just really like smooth. Arrow comes in and he's just like, bap, got it, and then it was like totally smooth. And he's been practicing that a lot. He really likes that when we do the practice, people are shooting, and he's the whole time he's spending, like, he'll dodge sometimes, but he's really trying to catch the arrows as they're coming in. So yeah.
I have noticed that within that last weekend, children seem to be much more cooperative. They see themselves as a team rather than, I know I've seen a lot of adult teams that really act as individuals that are trying to one up each other. But I saw none of that. I mean, I saw people in some of those teams doing only arrow retrieval, and I thought that was very, very interesting. That a person would take a selfless act of being basically the ammo retriever.
Yeah.
And I think the winner of the mini tournament, so to speak, was a team that really worked together in that way.
Yep. That was the team where we had one of the kids was the arrow retriever, and this was like one of his first or second classes that he had been doing with that. So he's like, I think he figured I'm not good at shooting, so I'm going to do something that I can do, and just put it on himself to do that. And then one of the team members was the girl that I was talking about, who's just that she's got that dead eye, and she just keeps, as long as you keep feeding her arrows, she's going to keep hitting people, So that was a good combination in that score. Rather than him just basically shooting off wild arrows all over the place, he just gave them to her and she would hit people. So that was a really good decision on their part, even though it was an unusual tactic. So that's one of the ways that the kids, I think, are pretty creative. I never taught them to do that. They just did it, So I'm not gonna. When I'm refereeing the game there, I'm not gonna tell them, hey, you should be shooting something. No, let them do what they're gonna do and see what happens, because they're exploring. So I like that.
I mean, so I think the last thing that I want to explore is, so how do you feel the WarBow League really develops children and youth, and what do you see in the future for children in this sport?
I really feel like that I've had much more difficulty attracting adults into the WarBow League. As you know, I've had a great deal more difficulty, just for whatever reason. People are working, they have things to do, and they have their set class and they do that. But the youth have really taken to this archery and the WarBow option that they have at the club. So and they're willing to go all out with it. I really feel like the future a big part of the future in WarBow and the WarBow League is going to be with youth classes. For at least for my purposes in the club, by far, no comparison. The youth are much more enthusiastic and much more gung-ho and ready to do it. Like, they want to be a part of it. When I told them that there's going to be a WarBow tournament, they were like, cool. Now they wanted to know what prizes they were going to get.
Of course.
Right? That's kind of important to them. Like, well, what do I get if I do this? That was, if I win. But if they feel like the payoff is good, I guess, and the fun is going to be there, then I really feel like you're going to get a lot of kids who are going to be interested in doing this, and the parents really like it too, actually. Which is, the moms are going to be like, wait, You're shooting arrows at each other? Oh, they're foam arrows. Oh, okay, cool. You know, I like archery. Archery is really cool. Everybody thinks archery is really cool. So they want their kids to do something neat like that, and distinctive and unusual and unique, like archery. And if the kids are loving the games, then this is great. You know, it's a winning combination.
All right. Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I think we can only improve as a league, and by getting that grassroots movement and getting children involved as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you very much for spending some time talking about youth development. I hope to see more events in the future and more good things from youth athletes.
Me too. I'd love to have more folks involved in it. It'd be great.
All right. Thank you.
All right, guys, we are back, and that was a great interview, James. So let's talk about all of the upcoming things that are happening with the Warbow League. Now, like I said earlier, it's been about a month since we did the last recap show, and that's because we've been working hard on developing a presentation for Clockwork Alchemy. Now, it's a steampunk event that usually goes on in the Bay Area, but now it's going to be global because of the pandemic. Right? It's going to be virtual. It's going to be I've heard it's going to be in Brazil, Japan, all over the place, and we are going to be showcasing the Warbow League with that. Up next?
Yes, we have a fair that we're going to, the NorCal Small Business Fair, and this fair is particularly in honor of AAPI Heritage Month. It will be held in San Jose, near the Berryessa area, the flea market. So this will be a great chance to come out and talk to people, find new players, find new teams, see what everything's all about.
That's correct. And if you don't know what AAPI is, that's Asian American Pacific Islander. And being Asian American Pacific Islanders ourselves, it's a great thing for us to be a part of this fair.
Right.
Also, as we were talking about new athletes, we are looking for new athletes in the Bay Area and above. So, especially we do want to see more female athletes in our sport. We've said it before multiple times. We believe this to be a truly co-ed sport, but we need to break down some of those barriers. And so we would love to see more athletes come out, more female athletes come out, and building out new teams.
Right, and as always, Season 0 has not ended yet. We still have plenty of swag to give away for teams that accumulate wins.
That's true. And going back to Season 0, we are still working towards our Season 0 tournament in August. So if you guys know anybody that wants to be a part of a team, if you want to create a team for yourself, please do reach out to us because we need more.
That's right. You can always find that information by simply going to the next session and coming in with a team, or you can shoot us an email at warbowleague@gmail.com.
Or even get us through our Facebook and Instagram.
That's right.
Well, that's it for our recap show, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And before anything else, let's hit that outro.